Alright guys, we are going to be reacting to Candace Owens' question US support for Ukraine and Russia's SPIEF forum. Thank you so much for support guys. Let's see what Candace Owens is saying regarding this kind of topic. Again, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. I'm going to really appreciate that. Jump in. Very interesting to see.
Наше государство с некоторых пор взял ценности условия. Ценности, если есть ценности, то семье воспитывать будет сложно. Если есть условия.
For having me. This is my first time in Russia, and it's been absolutely beautiful, wonderful, defied all of my expectations. I would say, especially within the government institution, public schools, you saw the sort of messaging when I was growing up that you cannot have both. You have a new age form of enslavement. And in this book, we do success, well, what is success? And in one chapter, I sort of explain who is the most successful man in the world, by and large. What's going on in Russia, what's going on in America, that there are no similarities. My entire trip has revealed to me just how similar.
Тем не менее, давайте придерживаться тайминга. Такова жизнь.
I think there's a lot of conversation. I've been having on my podcast, and Americans are really getting tired of funding, not knowing where money is going, learning that oligarchs are buying yachts. So we think about it at a practical level in terms of our taxes and where our money is going, which is never quite explained. But beyond that, we're trying to focus on a lot of home issues.
Я в пресс-центре вернусь и посмотрю.
Технической сфере беспилотных авиационных систем между правительством Сахалинской области, зала Аэро и АО «Авиакомпания».
I guess he didn't mention anything about Ukraine, but I know what she's trying to say. Oh, those are very nice. Yo, wow. Okay, let's go back to that statement that she mentioned regarding our taxes, American taxes.
I think there's a lot of conversation. I've been having on my podcast, and Americans are really getting tired of funding, not knowing where money is going, learning that.
So that's the statement right there. You're tired of funding or where their money is going. That's a true statement. Definitely a true statement. We are kind of tired of where our money is going. We don't know where our money is going. We slashed so much in the last couple of years. Because I think allegedly, this is what was happening. The USAID was supposedly a NGO to just kind of help poor countries. Happens to be it was a money laundering operation where the federal government would simply just put money through all these institutions, but in reality, these institutions were not real. They were not real. So that money would just come back to the United States to a lot of politicians. So that's true what you're saying.
Oligarchs are buying yachts. So we think about it at a practical level in terms of our taxes and where our money is going, which is never quite explained. But beyond that, we're trying to focus on a lot of home issues.
Now, the question is this is very interesting, guys. It's very interesting. What she says right now is not what she talks about in her own program. Her own show is very kind of gossipy kind of show. But she doesn't really talk about a lot of this stuff. She used to, though. She used to. She used to really talk about a lot of these issues, like very in detail. However, in the last couple months, she has gone through like a gossip tour talking about, you know, the former Charlie Kirk's wife and all this stuff, and Macron, the France, Macron's wife, and all this weird stuff. But the thing is that she never gets to a conclusion. Now, let's just go back to what she said. Tax problem is an American problem. We understand that Americans don't like where their tax is being spent. And we all agreed on that. I think that's a great point. But that's not what she talks about in a daily basis. And if she does, and if she does, it's probably very subtle that you cannot really see it or kind of hear it. I mean, she does put a lot of stuff out there that makes you question. I mean, that's true. However, it gets to a point that a lot of her information doesn't really land. It's just kind of incomplete, very incomplete, right? I really don't know what she's doing in Russia, to be honest, guys.
I think there's a lot of conversation. I certainly I've been having on my podcast, and Americans are really getting tired of.
Yeah, she doesn't. You have to watch their podcast. You wouldn't understand what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying that she might touch these topics here and there. She might, though. She might. But what I know is she used to talk about these topics on a daily basis, like very in detail. Used to talk about it on detail. But not anymore. Like she kind of fade away from a lot of this topic. Again, you have to understand how the YouTube game works. If you talk about politics, you get a very good CPM. You can earn a little more money. But if you talk about gossips, I think it's double. So you might just earn like $20 per 1,000 views, right? $20 per 1,000 views, you bring in 2.4 million views. That's so much money. That's so much money that I don't think YouTubers can comprehend. She at this point she probably bring in millions in a month. And you know what? I like that. You know, she's gonna have another kid. It seems like. I wish her the best. And remember, we are in the same kind of side of the coin. We are very conservative. I'm extremely conservative. A little bit more conservative than her. I don't think she's more conservative than me, right? But just out of that caveat, I think what she's saying regarding Ukraine, the taxes, that's where the connection of Ukraine is happening. We don't like, a lot of Americans don't like us spending money in Ukraine. That's the reality. That's the reality. You cannot say that's not the reality. We don't want our taxpayer money to be spent there. Not worth it. Not only that, it's not worth it. Men are going to keep dying. And that's not something that I want, especially me. I don't want more men dying in that war. It's not worth it. It doesn't help us. Already the European population is going down. Doesn't help at all. All these stuff have to be taken into consideration that the Europeans are already going downhill. There, it makes no sense to just to have a conflict like that. Let them resolve it as quick as possible, and that's it. That's my position. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, guys. I would love to hear you guys' opinions. We'll see you in the next one.